And we are back.
Yeah.
Yep. Welcome back to Outside the Cinema, your weekly source for cult movie discussions. Your hosts, Bill and Chris. We are happy to be here.
Yeah.
Happy to be here. We back to normal shows this week. As far as I can tell, we got through everything from Patreon. If we missed yours for some reason, let me know.
Yeah.
Because it either got sent to the wrong place or it ended up accidentally deleted, which I don't delete any of those emails until after I've known we've fulfilled the request.
Right.
But every now and then something weird will happen. So
that's true.
But if you have Patreon picks that you haven't shared with us and you are a Patreon member, which you can sign up for, patreon.com/outside the cinema, please let us know. You can email us at outsidethecinema@gmail.com, or you can just send us a message right through Patreon. That's probably the easiest way because I can track it all right there. But yeah, we did a bunch. We got a lot this time around, which was cool. Some good, some bad.
That was pretty good. Well, yeah, I mean, that's what they do for us.
They tend to. Yes, they do tend to. They do tend to.
Hey,
but,
I know you. Well, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say what we're going to do this week, but if you want to do this first.
No, I just have a question for you.
Yeah.
And it's a quick thing. It's not, I know you said, early. Have you had a moment where your kid impresses you to the point where you stop what you're doing and you're like, oh shit?
Yeah.
Okay. Can I tell you mine from the other day?
Absolutely.
We're sitting there because we're all drawing or reading or doing whatever. So like we're all in the same room doing the same thing, but separately, which is something we enjoy. And so we put on a trivia thing on YouTube. It was just music, and it went through a bunch in the 80s and 90s, and then it went to punk. And I'm just drawing. I have my head down. I'm drawing. I'm just, I hear stuff. That's the Ramones. That's the Clash. And I just got into what I was doing. And I hear the song, and my brain said, "Oh, that's Rebel Girl by Bikini Kill," but I didn't say it.
Right.
Nova said it out loud, like that fast. She knew it. And I'm like, you listen to Chapel Roan and like cottagecore music shit. I'm like, how do you? She's like, I listen to all kinds of stuff. I'm like, all right, well, my opinion of you is now a little bit different.
Interesting.
I was impressed.
That's cool.
Because it was just so, because like, she's been like just gone since like graduation finals. She hasn't graduated, but like band has to do a whole bunch of stuff for that. So it's been a super busy week. And I was talking about something and I said, yeah, like Robin Hood. And she said, who the hell is Robin Hood? And as I explained it, her face started turning more and more red and her hands crept up to her face and she just sat there like, hey, I know who he is. So there's both sides of her.
Nice.
I don't know. That was just fun. That was just a fun thing.
Yeah, no, Travis actually, I can give you one for Saturday. On Saturday. So as everyone has heard before, Travis plays baseball. He plays on a travel team. He plays on a town team. And so his travel team plays usually Saturdays and Sundays or one or the other, and they play double headers on both of them. So he pitched on Saturday, and Travis has always been like an okay baseball player. He's now a good baseball player, just because he's worked at it a lot. But so he pitched on Saturday, and before this year, he like didn't really pitch all that much. But he's gotten obviously very tall, so he's very tall and very lanky, and he's got the build to pitch. Yeah. And he's taken a really big step forward this year, but he started on Saturday, and the coach was like, listen, we got 2 games tomorrow, and we don't have a lot of arms. He's like, so I'm kind of just putting you out there, do your thing. And, hang on as long as you can.
Okay. Do the best you can.
Yeah.
That's all we're expecting. That's good. That's pressure, but not
right.
An overwhelming amount.
Exactly. Because the team only has 10 players. It has 12 players on it. And if they play 4 games in 2 days, you need to have, out of those 12 players, you need to have like 9 that can pitch.
Yeah.
Because the parameters are basically like you pitch 1 game, you're not pitching again for the rest of the weekend. Like, unless you keep it down under like less than like 30 pitches and like less than like 2 innings, because the most they can throw in a weekend is 95 at the 14U level. And
is this all like medical recommendation stuff?
There's a program. There's a program called Pitch. It's Pitch Correct or something like that. That's like all the research in terms of like what the limitations should be for kids at this age and stuff like that. So they do that so that you don't get the crazy coach that goes out and throws the same kid every single game and the kid tears his rotator cuff at age 13.
Yeah, and by 19, he can't.
And by 19, he's not playing baseball anymore because he's had too many injuries, that type of thing. So either way, so Travis has had a good season this year throwing. It's the first time can honestly say that. He's always been really up and down, but he's had a good season this year. So he gets out there and he starts pitching, and this kid throws a complete game, which is 7 innings for their age group. He throws a complete game, gives up only 2 hits and 1 run.
Wow.
Strikes out 9.
Oh.
And we lost.
What?
They lost 1-0 because the other kid on the other team also threw a complete game and struck out 19 kids.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a good game though, isn't it? That's like,
no, that's a great game. Well, if you're into
really
if you're into pitching
it.
and defense, it's a great. I mean, not even so much defense. If you're into pitching, it was a great game.
I mean, when I played, it was that kind of stuff that was always fun, whether it was lacrosse or baseball. It was just the blowouts were like, yeah, the 5th string gets to play the longest, but like, I always felt bad for the other team. Like, this is the first year we have a lacrosse team. Yay. Oh, well, we buried you 45 feet under the ground.
Right.
And it's like, I get it. You have to rise to the level, but like, we didn't have to destroy like Burlington maybe or Braintree 32-0 in lacrosse, not baseball.
Yeah.
Like, I scored and I played defense on the 3rd string.
Well, baseball, they institute, there's what they call slaughter rules. So you can't really beat a team down too badly. So
that's good.
Starting in the 4th inning, if you're down 15 runs at the end of the inning, the game's over.
Yeah.
5th inning, it goes down to 12. 6th inning, it goes goes to 10, and then it goes to 8 after 6. So like, you can't beat a team unless you drop like 100 runs in the first 2 innings.
Right.
So,
all right. Oh, that's good. Then the kids don't get like moral defeat.
yeah, because Travis's team stinks. They're like 3-13, 3-13-1 or something. Like they're really bad this year.
Are they having fun?
Sometimes.
Okay.
Sometimes, but a lot of it has to do with they don't have the pitching. Yeah. So like yesterday, we played 2 games yesterday, and the first game we had our best player back, and he'd been injured, but he was finally able to pitch, and he pitched.
Oh, good.
Like 6 innings, and we ended up winning 5-3 or something like that. But then the second game, we were literally like, who's going to throw? Oh, like, who do we have to pitch? And it did not go well.
Yeah.
And we lost.
I remember some games
6,
where it's like, where our pitcher doesn't show up, and we had one, and it's like, all right, somebody go try.
Yeah. That's what ended up being like yesterday. It's like, I guess we're going to put so-and-so out there.
Yeah. Because you'd rather fight than forfeit.
Right. And we didn't get mercied at least. So we played 7 innings. We lost by 6.
Okay.
But it was the type of thing where it was like, it's a team that like we should have beat. And I only help out with this team. I don't actually really technically coach on this team. I do the scoring for them. But I was helping coach yesterday because the other assistant wasn't there. And the kid that coaches is this kid, Alex. He's a young kid. He's like 22, 23. He's a nice kid though. And he looks at me and he's like, is there any way Travis can throw today? And I look at him and I go, nah, man. He threw 90 pitches yesterday in a complete game. You can't put him in there.
Yeah.
Would he? Yes. He 100% would go out there.
Yeah.
But the league will see it because you have to track everything. So,
but that's good. That's good. You need oversight.
For sure. Speaking of oversight, someone should have given me someone I chose the films for this week's show.
Yeah.
So we have got 2 films. One is noteworthy because of its director, and the other was just a premise and a title that I was like, we should give this a shot.
No, I totally understand why you picked them.
Yeah. So
makes
first,
total sense.
We have There's Always Vanilla. What is There's Always Vanilla, you ask? Well,
it's a really shitty life advice statement.
Sort of.
But the movie takes forever to get to that, so I'll back off.
Yeah, that's fair. But what it is George A. Romero's second feature film.
Yeah.
I believe it's the second or the third. I don't have the stats in front of me.
I'll find out.
But yeah, it's one of the films that he made that was forgotten for a good amount of time, that he did not necessarily support. He personally thought that it was bad.
All of this makes sense now.
Yep. Blame the writer. Said the writing was the issue. Not wrong.
I'm not going to say I disagree with that.
I know, right? But yeah, so that's the only reason we're covering it, because it's really just kind of like a drama romance thing. Yeah. It's got there's some stuff going on in it that's kind of strange.
Yeah, that's true.
But, and the other one is keeping it lighthearted. We went with a film called Morons from Outer Space, which is a British film from the mid 70s. Hang on, let me just open this up so I can actually give you guys the information that I should be giving you rather than just trying to guess. So now I'm waiting. Now I'm making you wait. Okay, I'm
looking up Romero's order of.
That's fine. It's his second or his third full length, I believe. But who knows? I could be wrong. I'm always wrong. So, Morons from Space.
It was directly after Night.
Okay. Yeah, because it's filmed in Pittsburgh and there's a lot of the same actors in it.
Yep.
All right. So, Morons from Outer Space, 1985. Why did I say 70s?
Because it looks like it's from the 70s.
Yeah, the version on Tubi is very, very poorly.
We'll say, well, you know what? Let's say very, very grindhouse. Like, that print's been abused.
Yeah.
It needs therapy.
Yeah, you can say it that way. Directed by Mike Hodges and done with a number of British actors from the time period that did like a lot of TV shows and stuff. So, but we'll get to that later on. First, we're going to talk about The Affair, a.k.a. There's Always Vanilla, which I will play this trailer for as soon as I reconnect the audio on this, because I forgot that I had turned off the thing. And looking, and connected. Okay, but we'll close that. We'll go back over here. We'll look at this. And
welcome to We Almost Know What We're Doing.
What do you think of the machine? I think it's marvelous. Do you think it means anything? Well, of course. Who do you think made it?
A genius or a student.
Doesn't look much different up close, though, than it does far back.
Do you think it's essentially purposeless?
Well, no, because you got something happening. Anything that has a purpose to it.
I think that they're trying to make fun of us. Some college kids made us, and they're trying to say that our society's screwed up.
Take some salt.
Sally.
Hello, Lenny.
Somebody went to hold the position that you've been given.
About enough. Not everybody.
Oh, my God.
Hi, Popsy. How's every little thing?
I'm afraid of you, Michael. Please let me go.
You just can't pick a girl up off the street and tell her her father's a bag of hot air and that she has a fat ass. I want an apology.
Hello?
What's your name?
What's yours? Where are you from? Where'd you go after that? Then what did you do? Why did you come back?
Chris! Chris, close the door.
No.
Chris!
It is.
Oh, you maniac.
I didn't like that.
Well, what are you going to do, Chris? I'm pregnant.
Hey, what are you doing?
Wow, that's the longest minute 40 of my life. Jesus Christ. Wow. All right. The Affair was the original title. The original title was There's Always Vanilla. It was also re-released under the title The Affair at one point.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nobody was married. Is that technically an affair if you're not married?
I don't know.
Isn't that just a relationship?
I don't know. Directed, as we said, by George A. Romero, obviously. The legendary George Romero, and people I think forget sometimes that he made things other than zombie movies. But this is definitely one that is not well known outside of probably the most diehards.
That is true.
because I actually wasn't even aware of it until a few years ago. I think actually after his passing is the first time I'd actually heard the title, but it's written by Rudy Ritchie, who wrote a story and then adapted a screenplay from that story, starring Raymond Lane, Judith Ridley, obviously Judith, who was Judy in Night of the Living Dead. That's where you're going to recognize her from. Joanna Lawrence, Richard Ritchie, Roger McGovern, Ron J, Bob Wilson, and a host of others. Some of these are faces you will recognize from Night of the Living Dead. I know William Hinsman's in it, and a couple other people. But so this is 1971. So we're coming out of like the Summer of Love and that time period and going into kind of like that uncertainty that we had in the early 70s. So this film, unfortunately, is very dated in that world.
The Vietnam protest years, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And it's crazy how some films can, take place then and not feel dated, and how others will inherently just be like, well, this is from that time period.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about that, I think, when we talk about the other film tonight, too, because that film has a lot of, it's dated in a really bad way. So the affair really basically, it starts with this random machine that's just like on display on the street that has been built by people. We don't really know what it does or what it means or why it's there. And we get voiceovers of a lot of people saying what they think about it. You heard a little bit of it there in the trailer.
My favorite was the dude that's like, I think they're making fun of us. It's like, no, dude, you think everybody's making fun of you.
Yes.
Because, like, calm down.
Yes. I'm making fun of you.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that piece of it, which I'm still not really sure. Like,
I can explain that whole thing.
Do we want to wait till we get towards later into the end of it?
I think it's actually, I think just an explanation of the mindset the story was written in is what I think they were thinking about that. And I honestly believe this is 71, so they probably started writing it in 69 and filmed it in 70, right?
Yep.
So what we have is honest, hippie, anti-whatever counterculture stuff going on. But it feels like it was a bunch of dopes that were just drinking beer instead of smoking pot or doing LSD. And it's the shittiest view of being a good person that I've ever seen. And the guy the main character is just, that's who he is, man. And it's like unapologetically selfish.
Okay.
And that's, look around. That's what happened. We let the fucking hippies take over and the boomers ruined everything. And that's not even a joke today.
No, I agree.
So I was particularly upset with the message this movie was trying to make because fuck the hippies.
All right.
Sorry, go ahead. I didn't expect that to come up.
That's fair. All right. So we meet Chris. Chris is a former Army veteran. He is a guitarist who plays guitar on like a number of people's records and stuff. And he basically kind of just like, so there's parts of this that are told through like seated interviews.
Yeah.
But it's like still like a straight narrative, kind of like The Office is like where like you have the seated interviews, but like the narrative continues to go through it.
Yeah.
Probably a poor comparison, but just to give you a kind of an idea.
No, I don't think so. I mean, well, if you're comparing quality, maybe. But if you're comparing, the actual style of it, yeah, no problem. Yeah.
So he's good. He's done with the Army. He's done with wanting to play guitar for people. We see him like in a recording studio, and the guy's like, "Oh, can you come and work tomorrow?" And he's like, "No." He's like, "I'm done playing on other people's records. I'm going to go home for a while." So he goes home, which is Pittsburgh, and this is, of course, being Romero. It's all filmed right in Pittsburgh. He ends up meeting up with his dad, who he hasn't seen in a number of years. They go to a strip club because that's what you do with your dad. You go to a strip club,
I guess.
And I don't know. They pick up some women, and then we find that he's had a relationship with one of the other women, and she says that she had a baby by him, and then the father's sleeping with this other one, and it just like none of it really means anything. other than Chris is just kind of like, it's kind of laying his character as this kind of just like fly by night guy that's just kind of like all over the place, super undependable, and just kind of comes and goes.
He reminds me of that person that would hang out with your group of friends that's not really friends with anybody, but you're nice to them. And like you're all hanging out at somebody else's house across the city, and they call you up and ask if you can drive them to the mall. Just, hey, I need this. Do this for me. He really is a selfish fucking prick.
Right.
And he also looks like he's 8 years old, 18 and 50 at the same time.
Well, I read in the trivia that Judith, the female that he meets, is supposed to be older than him, but in real life, she was 10 years younger than him.
Then why cast her?
I think because Romero...
Or him. I'm not even... That's... Okay. That's an interesting fact.
There you go.
There we go.
So he goes out and about and meets this girl, meets Judith on her way to a commercial job where she's going to be in a commercial for, what was it, shampoo or
there was
toilet
shampoo,
paper or something.
Soap. Yeah, all the stuff. Oh, don't forget plastic toy aircraft carriers.
Oh yeah, specifically.
I mean, God, it wouldn't be like until like 10, 11, 12 years until the USS Flag came out. So I don't know what this guy's talking about.
It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. So the two of them strike up a relationship, and that's the movie.
Yeah.
I'm not wrong, right?
It's just a dude being shitty. Honestly, just that's it. He's just selfish. And I'm trying to figure out as I'm watching this, why? Why did you make him like this? Why isn't he the least bit likable?
Well, the writing, from everything I've gathered, is the writing and the writer really kind of fucked them. He apparently didn't have the screenplay written fully before they started filming, and he was literally delivering the film to them scene by scene.
Yeah, and Romero would have been so new at it. What choice does he have?
Right, exactly, and that's kind of what Romero said in like when he did some interviews about this, talking about how like the writer just fucking dropped the ball, and then knowing that, it makes more sense because things feel really kind of disjointed and like the one thing that I can say that Romero was able to do with this movie, because I know that he also edited it too, was he was able to edit it together and make it more engaging than it had any business being because of the way he was able to intertwine the sit down talking head conversations with Chris and then play out some narrative and then kind of go back and forth and then have him like almost narrate it himself. And he's talking about all of the things that he's fucked up in his life. It's basically just kind of like, this is supposed to be like him giving his, I'm sorry thing that I was such a fuck up or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. And half the movie, they dress him in clothes that make you think he's in prison subconsciously, which I think is on purpose because he feels trapped.
Yeah.
But I also think now that the script may be the writer's frustration and it's not very clear in his head. So it's not very clear on the page.
Yeah.
Maybe he doesn't want to write scripts for anybody else anymore.
Right.
And I don't know, but I don't understand messing up somebody else's thing just because, anyway. Yeah, this is the filming, the camera movements, the setups, all like real early Romero, but you can see him developing that style that he gets to in Day and Dawn. And it's kind of nice. And then the people talk.
Yeah.
And they act and they do the best they can as the actors they are. And I can't blame that part of it, but you can blame the fucking words they're saying and what's happening. Like that line, I'm pregnant, what are you going to do? Should be up there with, well, I have breast cancer. Like, it's so bad. And then she's not even, apparently, but then is? What the fuck? I don't even know what happened.
No. She
is pregnant. She isn't. It could be 6 guys. It could be this one guy. It's definitely that guy, but it's not. That's how the movie made me feel.
Yeah. Yeah, and I feel like Romero did everything he could to try to save this. He starts cutting in like a lot of those like weird, like the psychedelic music breaks that kind of come through, and like just to kind of show what society's going on. And he's, he did his damnedest with this.
Yeah, he tried to give you a visual mood to go with it.
And it's interesting enough to look at and watch. But there's really not much to say about it because there's no real substance to it.
Yeah.
Like, even with Night of the Living Dead, there was the whole commentary that he was bringing to that. And it's just so much more engaging than something like this because they're just like, you can just tell watching this. It's like nobody really seems like they care about this.
Right. Or, they don't care about each other or anything going on. It's worse than an Italian movie where the police need to get involved.
Yeah. Where the police need to get involved.
Yeah. They don't, but they yeah.
So one of the... no, go after you.
No, I
was going to say just like, this is another one of those movies though, where like, if you kind of skim through the reviews and stuff on IMDb and Letterboxd and stuff, you're going to see a lot of high scores because if Romero had something to do with it, it apparently needs to be like put on a different level. We see that a lot with a lot of the Italian filmmakers. We've talked for like Fulci being probably the best example of like, if it's Fulci, it's amazing. No, it's not.
If it's Fulci, potentially it's amazing.
It has, exactly. Argento, maybe.
Yeah, which one though?
But maybe not.
Yeah.
And this is the thing where it's not. Like, you see a lot of like 8 out of 10, 7 out of 10, like, and it's just because you're a Romero mark, like, so.
Yeah. Or you're afraid to actually say what you think because of the backlash, or you haven't watched it.
Right. We did Season of the Witch, the film he did after this, right? Which is kind of like that weird, like melodrama.
I think so.
Yeah. I feel like that's better than this.
Amusement Park was better.
Amusement Park was better than this.
Like that.
Yeah.
That had a solid thought, like message or whatever through the whole thing.
Yeah. I actually personally find the more out there stuff that Romero did more interesting than the zombie stuff. Like Martin, I think is a great weirdo vampire tale. The Crazies is awesome. Monkey Shines is really good for what it is. And Creepshow probably is one of my favorite top 3 or 4 horror films of all time. So like the zombie stuff, don't get me wrong, I love it. Dawn and Day of the Dead and like love it. But it's just like I actually enjoy his other stuff. What was it? Bruiser? Yeah. Bruiser was really good too.
Oh yeah. That's right.
Either way. All right, let's grade. All right, Chris. There's always Vanilla, aka The Affair. Do you recommend and what is your grade?
Yeah. Before I do that, I want to say that I almost stopped watching it. There is a almost rape scene. I can't tell if they're joking or not, but the guy does, like, he stops and he walks away, and that really actually just saved the whole movie from itself for me. But I'm not going to recommend this. I don't like it. I don't know anybody that would. And it's a D. This is just terrible. The characters are awful, selfish people. You don't want any of them to succeed. And then in the end, like, things seem to happen too fast. But I don't want to ruin any of that part for people. But yeah, there was an idea in there, something about society changing and the new people with the ideas, because the whole thing with the advertising agency, and he's like, I used to be a pimp, and it's like, sell me this pen, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like that's all confusing. But there are moments of the symbolism and ideas that Romero usually puts in, but it was too sloppy, and now I know why.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay. As far as recommending it, the only way I can recommend it is if you are a Romero completionist and you need to see everything that he's done. Yeah. Otherwise, there's no reason to watch this. Yeah. It does not offer anything that you haven't seen before done better. The music is bad. It's just, it looks fine. And I think Romero did a really good job of trying to edit it together into something that would be interesting. But after the first 10 minutes, you've seen everything.
Yeah. Oh, I had one more thing to add to my review. I forgot. I have to give you my 2 weeks notice.
No, that's fair. That's fair.
I forgot about that. I actually said to I'm like, I'm going to try and quit at the end of this review because that'll be fun.
That's fair. I understand completely. So no, I can't recommend it unless you have to see everything Romero's ever done. And I'm sorry if you're one of those people that thinks it's good, because it's not. It's just not.
I mean, it's good for a second film from somebody back in 1971.
I don't blame him at all either. This is 100% like he did what he could.
I will say, though, you can hear them and you can see them.
True.
Which is head and shoulders above a lot of movies we see now.
Good point. So I am not recommending it, and I will also give it a D. And that's, I think, even being nice to it.
It is.
So not all Romero's good.
Nice.
Just remember that. Just remember that.
Yeah.
And as we move on to the next film, we're going to talk about another director, Mike Hodges, who has made some great stuff, and this is not one of the great films he did. Yeah. So here's the trailer to start for Morons from Outer Space.
I got one. I got a spaceship. They're coming. They're gonna enter our atmosphere.
When them extraterritorial, what's it?
Extraterrestrial being.
Yeah. When they come, they'll probably come in secret, won't they?
Undoubtedly.
They'll land, right, and only a few of us will know all about it, I expect.
Oh, yeah, well, obviously. Yeah. Well, see, they'll have a very advanced spacecraft. Obviously, they'll have all the bits on it, all the anti-gravitational pull bits, so it can come down very softly, like sort of...
And then all the door open.
That's right.
Oh, my God.
And obviously, the whole world will benefit from their advanced technology. Because, I mean, they'll want to meet some of the great minds from our planet.
What, all the brainy people, like?
I come in peace. Will you speak with me? Yep, no, I understand.
You have come to our planet from another planet?
No, we come from our own planet. Not another one.
And will they be, sort of, intelligent, I suppose?
Well, this is the thing, you see. They'll have to be intelligent, won't they? I mean, we've come here in the first place.
They've started playing with the chess set.
Oh, this is a development.
No, it isn't.
I'll tell you something.
Yeah.
It's going to change the fabric of society as we know it, in many subtle and mysterious ways.
Your time has come, you smug! The aliens are here! We're all going to die!
Drive on.
Flush this down the...
Excuse me.
And of course they'll be greeted with and treated with kid gloves.
Come on, show us your tentacles. Somebody give me an okay on immediate surgery. Somebody find the doctor. We got a sick man here.
They'll be like gods, won't they?
They will come down, as you say, Derek, like gods.
I can't. I can't take any more of it. It's got another minute to go.
That's a lot.
Morons from Outer Space, directed by Mike Hodges, who is probably best known as the director of the Flash Gordon film from 1980. But just so you know,
why this movie felt 4.5 hours long.
Wait, what?
Okay, so anytime I watch Flash Gordon, my wife's like, I don't have 7 hours to watch this movie because she feels like it's the longest movie that's ever existed. But it's like normal runtime. She knows it's just like time slows for her. So I figured that's why this movie felt like it was never going to end, because this director can do some amazing things with time.
Fair.
It did feel longer. I looked at the timeline and it said I had a half hour left, and then it was morning all of a sudden, and the last half hour felt like an hour.
Right. All right. So Mike Hodges directed the Flash Gordon film, but he also worked on a number of other things too, where he worked on, he directed the original Get Carter from 71, the original Frighteners from 72. He also directed Damien, Omen 2. He directed the Queen video for Flash Gordon.
Of course.
Missing Pieces, Red Hot Rock, the Hitchhiker TV series. And yeah, I mean, Black Rainbow, he worked on a bunch of stuff. Bunch of really good stuff.
The writers for this too have done a bunch of stuff. Production companies that make a bunch of shows they're still on, like QI. What is it? Not the 9 o'clock news.
Yeah, well, this came after Not the 9 o'clock news.
Yeah, but that's the writer of that, so the comedy from that is the same.
Very similar feel from what I gather.
Yeah, it was the comedy at the time. It's almost like a knockoff Monty Python. That's the best I can think.
Yeah. I don't know if knockoff, I would just say inferior version.
Oh, okay. I consider them the same, but I will grant you that, yes.
Yes. But it stars Mel Smith as Bernard.
Oh, there's only one character that you need to say he was.
And?
The albino.
The albino?
Bernard's the one that got left behind, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was the albino in The Princess Bride.
Oh, yeah, he was.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, shit, yeah. All right, good call.
And now I understand why he got that role, because of his comedy approach. It really worked in that, but it was subdued, so it was good. It's interesting.
Okay. Well, and he worked with the other main guy, Griff Rhys-Jones, on like Not the 9 o'clock news, Alice Smith and Jones. They worked together on a bunch of different things. We also got Joanna Pierce, Jimmy Nail.
Yep. Doogie's dad.
Yeah, Dickie's dad. He was also in Evita.
Oh yeah,
and a bunch of other British actors that you will recognize if you pay attention to a lot of the stuff from this time period. So the story of Morons from Space is you have 3 aliens that break away from their spaceship and crash on Earth, and then they become celebrities because they're aliens. And it's a very standard madcap thing of all of these aliens showing up, everyone going crazy, them escaping, and then that's that.
Yep. There is a little bit of social commentary, I think, that they were going for, but it was really subdued. I think there was a message of stop making people famous for doing nothing. Like literally, these people were famous because of where they were from. They didn't do anything, and then they abuse it the whole time, right? And I thought, like, seeing it through Bernard's view is what really made it that, is because, like, we're not there yet. Sorry.
That's okay. Here's the thing, man.
That.
I watched this, and I just don't have anything to say about it.
Yeah.
There's nothing in here. I don't think I laughed once.
It got a couple out of me, but just like a that.
It's one of those things where, knowing that these guys came from doing TV work, and Not the 9 o'clock news, Rowan Atkinson was on that too, right?
I don't remember.
I think he was. I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty sure Rowan Atkinson was part of it. And he went one way and these guys went another way. These guys went continuing with that same style of humor. And I just think that it just doesn't, except at that moment, hit.
Yeah, comedy is very, very, very much tied to the time period it's done in.
So
and we move on. Like I'm trying to think of comedians that haven't been a problem, and I'm having a problem with that. But let's say what's his face? Dane Cook, right? His comedy was good, like in the public, like accepted for 4 or 5 years, and then that's it. We all got tired of it.
Yeah.
And we moved on to Melissa McCarthy or whoever. I don't care. But for me, definitely comedy is like this ever-changing thing.
Yeah.
Like puns may be funny when you're little, or thinking everything means wiener is funny when you're 13 and 50.
Yes.
But eventually.
Infantile humor, I believe, is what they call it.
Yeah.
And this film is chock full of it. And it just doesn't work because the idea of aliens coming to Earth is, yes, it would be a big thing. It would. But I'm pretty sure that they walked out of the spaceship and they were just humans, because they're just humans. There's nothing. They don't look. There's no different look. Right. There's no, like, they don't have tails. They don't have tentacles. They don't have. They just look like humans.
Yeah.
And they then become like singing pop stars, which just is
why
it doesn't make any sense.
No, it's just because, well, somebody realized they could make money off of them.
Exactly. Yeah.
So they made them famous for being themselves, which isn't necessarily a bad thing if it brings something to the table, I guess. They didn't.
No. It's just one like fucking juvenile gag after another. And like the like idea of like the government is trying to test them and then somebody lets them escape, but the government doesn't try to get them back right away. And like,
yeah, I really stopped paying attention to what the characters were doing, and I was just looking for the jokes, because I realized it wasn't making any sense at all. If their DNA comes back as human, you got to vivisect one of them and talk to them while you're cutting them open, and then that's comedy.
Yeah, I guess you could say that.
But like there should have been a little bit more than, hey, look, we're from outer space. Like, prove it. Like, you can't spell.
And the whole joke and the whole crux of the movie is that these aliens have come to Earth, but they're idiots.
Yeah.
Like, and that's it.
Yeah, because, if you can build a spaceship, you're really smart. Well, we've been to the moon.
We see who runs SpaceX.
Look around. Yeah, we've sent robots to Mars and landed them on comets. And look at... Yet, here we are.
Yes, good way to put it. Yet, here we are.
So that's it too. I mean, the higher expectations off of some person or a group of people that don't deserve it or didn't earn it. It's all basically about unearned fortunes. I guess. I don't know why I went with that one.
I don't know either, but I don't want to talk about it anymore. So, Chris, do you recommend, and what is your grade for 1985's Morons from Outer Space?
Yeah, so I might be mean to people every now and then, but I'm not this mean. This is no recommendation for anybody at all ever, except maybe look up the woman's hairstyle at the end. Just look at a photo. I thought the razor mohawk that she had going on there with inside the pompadour was an interesting choice. It was visually really interesting. Nothing else was. So this movie gets an F. It's bad.
Yep.
That's it.
Yep.
I'm done talking.
Chris, I got to let you know, too, I'm giving my 2-week notice.
Okay, good. You did this to yourself.
I did do this to myself. Yeah, it's just bad. I can't recommend it to anybody, even like fans of like the TV work of like not the 9 o'clock news and stuff. The comedy doesn't hit. It's juvenile humor at its worst. Lots of talks about like poop and pee and like all that stupid stuff. And the acting is barely passable. The writing is bad. Like, the music is bad. The looks bad. There's nothing redeeming about this. I could see maybe if somebody saw this when they were younger and they could have potentially had a little bit of nostalgia for it, then maybe okay. Like,
There were some parts where I'm like, I think I saw this, and then I didn't. So it must have been clips inside of another show.
Maybe, because it's just trying so hard to be this like witty B movie that just doesn't do anything. Like, I could akin it to something like Amazon Women on the Moon or something, where it's like, yeah, it's fucking stupid. But if you saw it at the right time.
That was,
that was actually funny.
That was still okay. Like, what? Okay. I'll think of stuff. You think of some more of what this is like while we listen to Joe, and we'll see what happens. Because I think you're raising Morons up way too high.
Yeah, I will say, D- borderline F. Yeah, I was able to finish it, so
yeah,
there you go.
Took me 2 days to finish the other movie.
Yeah, well, the other one, I watched this one first, so the other one didn't seem so bad in comparison.
Oh, I watched the other one first. That's why this one didn't seem so bad.
Tough week, boys.
It works either way.
Tough week, boys. Tough week. Speaking of tough weeks, did Joe have one? Because he's now neck deep, sick band, into the Conjuring universe. So let's see what he's got to say this week.
Well, hello, Bill. Hello, Chris, and hello, OTC Nation. It's your boy Joe here, and this week, Bill took me to the convent because he made me watch The Nun.
Oof.
Quick, only tangentially related story about nuns. Bear with me, I don't really have much to say about this movie. There was a Catholic school a handful of blocks from my house growing up that had not only a baller baseball field, but a much better playground, and they, for some reason, had like 3 really like steep mounds of dirt that was absolutely tremendous for jumping your bike off and testing the limits of someone else's liability insurance. Summer of 1989, just before 7th grade, me and the boys are riding around the neighborhood when we see 2 nuns straight out of an 80s sex comedy strolling the grounds of an oddly well-maintained seminary and school smack dab in the, we'll call it hood adjacent. I grew up 2 blocks from the hood in Grand Rapids. I shit you not. One of them was straight out of central casting for the nun who carried a yardstick and wields it like she's the goddamn outlaw Josie Wales. She's like
Penguin from
Beulah Ballbricker from Porky's. The other one was straight out of my adolescent dreams. Picture Meg Ryan circa Inner Space, but with red hair.
Dope.
Fucking #swoon. If only The Sandlot had been made years earlier, I could have faked drowning, even though the nearest body of water of any description was at least 5 miles away, so I could just pull a Wendy Peppercorn with Sister Hot Stuff. Boy can dream. Instead, we just rode our bikes there like every weekend and suffered getting yelled at by a woman who became a nun, probably because she enjoyed tormenting children and found a way to do it legally while also being fed and lodged by an organization that probably jerked off over it, just so we could get a gander at the other one, a different woman who probably became a nun because she was tired of getting hit on by anything with a set of eyes. Now let's watch a movie that I'm sure will cast the Catholic Church in a very realistic light. Here's an interesting factoid. The Nun is the highest grossing horror film of all time in Indonesia, Brazil, and Romania.
Wow.
That last one's going to come into play here. Thaisa Farmiga stars here as a young nun. And honestly, it's just making me want to watch, think of The Final Girls.
Ooh, yeah.
Which I only knew about thanks to OTC. And it might be my favorite movie that I found through this podcast.
It's a great film.
Kind of wish I was watching that instead.
A lot of fun.
This wasn't bad at all, surprisingly. Nobody's more surprised about that than me. And in fact, this might have replaced Annabelle Creation as my favorite of the CU movies. But at the end of the day, it's not The Final Girls. That movie was amazing. Where was I? Yes, we're getting to the origins. It's been a long day. We're getting into the origins of the demon Valak, who is the nun. That's the form that Valak takes. And honestly, I could make a joke here, but the nun is fucking creepy. Creepy enough that Bonnie Aarons, the actress who plays her, is probably not welcome in my home.
Fair.
Other factoid, Bonnie Aarons played the shit and dirt covered hobo in the one movie, Mulholland Drive. Holy shit, I almost forgot about that. So Sister Final Nun and a priest named Father Burke, whose accent makes him sound more like Father Guido Sarducci, travel to the land of enchantment, where everyone is happy, and there's a lot of colorful things, and the vibes are shiny as fuck. In opposite land, because we're going to Romania. at least cinematic Romania. They always make Romania seem so dreary in real life, but like Google Romania, real life Romania has 5 cities in the 100 safest cities in the world list. And I'm not sure if our country at 41 times the size, I Googled all of this information, by the way, our country at 41 size can boast the same. We might have 1 or 2.
Huh.
Anyway,
that's all the
there's a convent that seems to have a murder rate higher than Detroit, and the church has sent these 2 unlucky fucks to figure it out. It's a religion with an estimated net worth of $78 billion, and all they got for a literal demon is a middle-aged priest and a nun in her early 20s.
That's how they have billions still.
It's pretty paint by the numbers affair here, and there's really nothing original happening. But they pulled off a movie that held my attention for 90 minutes. It looked great. All the actors were very competent and seemed to give a fuck about what they were doing. We all know that's very important to me. Practical effects where they could, and at least passable CGI where they couldn't. That's saying something nowadays. There's a great scene in the open where a nun hangs herself out a window to keep her soul from Valak. Probably just needed to get away from that John Holmes of a nose on this nun. And when she's discovered, it's at least a few days later, and the crows have done what crows do, and it's exactly the level of gross they needed to hit. Like, when I say this is paint by the numbers, I mean it. They show up, witness some heebie-jeebies, they think they got it figured out. The demon pulls a swerve like, fuckers. You wonder why they didn't just head back home like, hey, about that thing. We didn't do it. Like, you sent the equivalent of sending an elderly elementary school janitor to clean up Chernobyl. Like, send the Templars or whatever. But they persevere, and just when you think all hope is lost, the good guys get a second wind. They hit Cena's 5 moves of doom and get the 1, 2, 3. For now. They tie it in with the first Conjuring movie in a really unexpected way. They've done that twice in a row now, and I feel like that's going to be a recurring theme here, where they took this really small thing from like 4 movies ago and were like, guess what, fucker? That was important. Boom. Like, I may have only liked 2 out of the 5 Conjuring cinematic universe movies so far, but they've tied them together in honestly a pretty neat way. I'm still not impressed, but I'm more impressed than I thought I would be. That's about the biggest praise I could give this thing. Here's the thing.
Yeah,
the good.
Makes sense.
Damian Bashir and Thaisa Farmiga raised this thing probably an entire grade level just by themselves. They kept it moving a little better than these movies typically do. Like, I'm really not mad at this one. And I had some friends be like, oh my God, you got to watch The Nun. That movie sucked. It really didn't.
I thought it did.
Honestly, and I'm going to add this here. I didn't write this down. This is just me off the dome. If this movie was not associated with the Conjuring franchise, I feel like I would have liked it more. I feel like it tainted it for me. Like, this was actually a pretty decent horror film. The bad.
Okay.
Every single movie in this franchise had the opportunity to be really, really good, but they just aren't. They're very obviously corporate properties designed to be a product, and art might as well be that janitor I mentioned earlier cleaning up, Vera Farmiga's discarded cigarette butts on set. Still, The Nun is going to get tempted to give it a B-.
All right. Surprising.
C plus B minus. You whatever you think is right. If you like dark gothic Catholicism inspired horror, I think you'll dig this one. Give it a try if you haven't. Like, don't let The Conjuring put the taint on this movie. Just watch it as a standalone. I'll be back next week with, hang on, quick look, because I'm not sure. Annabelle Comes Home. Only 3 left to go, and if I'm counting down how many movies are left in a series, that's probably not a good sign. Until then, be good, everyone.
Now I'm wondering if I'm thinking of The Nun 2 as opposed to the first one.
Okay.
I think maybe it was the second one that was like that I really, really hated. And I think maybe it's because it's pretty much just a rehash of the first one.
Yeah, I could see that. I don't know if I watched the second one.
That was like last year, 2 years ago, maybe.
No, I don't think I did.
I don't remember. But it is what it is. Speaking of it is what it is, Scott's back this week. And I'm hoping that he's going to review the movie I think he's going to review because he's been doing new releases for a while now. So I'm crossing my fingers that he's going to talk about Bring Her Back. But let's see.
Guess what? I have a podcast review segment for you.
Good thing we're doing a podcast.
Well, that's what I'm paying you to do.
Give us the money and we'll do whatever you need us to do.
Yep.
Good. Let's do this.
Sick.
What?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
With Reverend Scott.
Everyone's running for their lives, and then a girl gets sucked down a toilet.
Yeah. That happened. What do you say to that?
That's all you can.
Hey there, Bill and Chris. This is Reverend Scott.
Hey.
Oh, yeah.
Hey. Hope you are doing well.
We'll see how I'm doing after we talk about the new A24 joint I just saw last weekend. I like to call it Bring Her Back. A horror flick released in prime horror season, the end of May.
There you go.
Is that a sign of the studio's faith in the movie? Well, we're going to talk about that. And then when I'm done, we can all hang out together.
I'm not going to see you afterwards.
Bring Her Back is a supernatural horror film, according to the internet, filmed in Australia.
Oi, let me give you something straight from the Barbie.
Directed by Australian directors Danny and Michael Philippou, who just so happen to be twin brothers. So right off the bat, that's pretty creepy.
Wow, way to generalize.
The movie starts with some disturbing, grainy, dark VHS footage and lets us know that they're not fucking around. There's half-naked people performing some occult ritual inside a large chalk circle, and there's people hanging from nooses in the background and close-up of people having convulsions and people eating people. It's just fucked up stuff and is just as shocking as it is confusing.
Nobody has any idea what's going on at all.
We jump from that to a bus stop and our main characters, two step-siblings, Andy and Piper. Piper's about 12 years old, and she's visually impaired. According to her, she can only see shapes and light. And I believe her because Sora Wong, who plays Piper in the film, is visually impaired too. That's exactly how things are for her in real life as well. Her stepbrother Andy is played by Bill Barrett, who was most recently in the Oscar award-winning action smash hit Kraven the Hunter.
Cult classic, certified. Huge. By me.
I'm sure it is, Bill. So back to Bring Her Back. We quickly find out that Andy is pretty protective of Piper. Ever since that Andy's dad married Piper's mom, but since then they've lost Piper's mom. I can't recall exactly what happened to her, but she's no longer in the picture. But we do see Andy just kind of being protective. He's kind of sugarcoating a bad interaction that Piper has with some girls at the bus stop. And Piper doesn't really come across as like being helpless, though. I mean, she's virtually never using her cane, yet she's still walking around and getting by easily. She's about as independent as she can be. It's a pretty wholesome relationship, which is why the movie needed to toss a wrench into that wholesomeness ASAP. Piper and Andy return home to find dear old dad on the floor of the shower, dead, covered in his own vomit, naked with his wang out and all. Not something you really want to see.
You can't take your eyes off it, though.
No.
Like, you don't know what to make of it, but you know you want to watch it.
Yep.
To say this is traumatic for Andy, not only to see, but to also have his blind sister asking him what's happening, would be an understatement. We get some great, quiet conversation with Andy consoling Piper later as the movers come in and start boxing up their stuff and tearing up the tape that was on the edges of the area rug on the hardwood floor, so Piper wouldn't trip over the rug. because they can't stay there anymore. Dad was the last remaining parent they had, and now it's off to the foster care system they must go. Andy immediately asks a social worker if he can become Piper's legal guardian, but he's informed that you're not 18 for another 3 months, buddy, so you're going to have to live in your own place, and Piper's going to go off to a foster home. And Piper's like, they're separating us? And Andy's like,
this is stupid.
The foster parent wasn't keen on taking Andy because he had some violent stuff in his past, but after some convincing and a call to the foster parent, the lady agrees that they can stay together until Andy is old enough to apply for guardianship. Andy and Piper soon arrive at the home of Laura, played by Sally Hawkins. You may know her as the weird chick that has sex with a fish man in the shape of water.
Gross.
She seems super nice, I guess, and Andy notices right away that the rug on the floor is taped to the hardwood. That's because Laura used to have a blind daughter herself named Kathy. But Kathy has since died, drowned in the backyard pool. And while Piper takes a quick liking to Laura, Andy kind of senses like something's off immediately. You can tell he's just assessing every little thing that he sees in the house and everything that Laura does. And I have a feeling that everyone in the audience kind of sensed it too. For one, Andy and Piper aren't the only foster children in the home. There's also a mute boy named Oliver. He's especially creepy, but seemingly harmless. Also, Laura lets them go explore the backyard without mentioning that there's like a 10-foot deep concrete pool her daughter drowned in back there, just totally empty, waiting for a blind person to fall into it. But who knows? Maybe it's just part of the initiation into Laura's foster home.
Well, yeah, that's the challenge. If you don't die, you're in. If you die,
you're not in.
Sorry.
Things aren't too bad at first. They get rooms, food, and even after a very awkward and intensely uncomfortable funeral with their dad, Laura tries to help them blow off some steam back at the home by playing drinking games with them. No, I'm not kidding. She's playing drinking games with a 17-year-old boy and a 12-year-old blind girl.
How much can you drink and not die?
A lot.
All the while, we start wondering why Oliver is basically locked in his room the whole time, or the only other time we see him, he finds their cat named Junkman in the pool, and he looks like he's gonna try to eat the cat. I don't know. Pretty fucked up shit. Even Bill was wondering,
what is happening here?
We have a little private conversation between Laura and Andy, and we find out she used to be a counselor or therapist for many years. And she informs Andy in no uncertain words that she'll be watching him to assess if he's fit to look after Piper in 3 months when he turns 18. In other words, his guardianship is in her creepy hands.
Which is bullshit.
Yeah.
Andy is already having a lot of trouble with the loss of his dad, as you might expect. He won't even go into the shower because he has visions of his dad on the ground dead. The first time he sleeps there at Laura's, he wakes up to find that he's wet the bed. I mean, he's still just a fucking mess. And it becomes very clear very quickly that Laura really wants Piper to stay and is going to do anything she can to keep Piper from leaving. And thus begins Laura doing some of the most depraved, manipulative actions I've ever seen someone do on screen. For instance, we get to see her check that Andy is asleep one night, and then she goes into the bathroom and pees into a cup. Then she pours the pee onto Andy's pants. So when he wakes up, he thinks he wet the bed yet again, which I can only assume is what happened the first time, too.
Which I wish I could say is not what happens, but from everything I've seen, it is.
And she does much, much worse things. She's very crafty in all the wrong ways. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. I'm kind of hesitant to say much more as to not spoil anything, but we see Laura is sneaking off to her room to secretly watch that fucked up ritual on the VHS tape like we saw at the beginning of the movie, and it seems to be an instructional video. Each time it cuts from one scene to the next, there's a little blurb of text at the bottom that kind of explains briefly what's the next part of the ritual or something. And based on the name of the film, I think you know what she's trying to do. Although I don't know if she understands exactly what she's doing.
If you follow at least one of the traditional rules, you can do whatever you want with the rest of them.
Oliver starts to get more and more strange as the movie goes on, more demon-like. His teeth get sharper, his eyes get more red, he looks more hungry. Jonah Wren Phillips plays Oliver, and he is intense. Without saying basically any words the whole movie, he's such an ominous presence on the screen. And when the third act of this film hits, you start remembering that this is an A24 flick. This is where movies like Hereditary came from, if you know what I'm saying. There's so many gory, bloody, and violent scenes and just stuff that makes you wince when you see them. The whole audience was loving it.
I had more fun watching this and kind of yelling stupid shit at the movie as it was going than I thought I would.
We have Laura trying to turn Piper against her brother, and meanwhile Andy is like,
this one ain't on me.
He's desperately trying to expose Laura for the psycho that she is. And the deeper we go into the movie, the more sense all of these seemingly random, weird things start to make. All of the nonsense puzzle pieces start to form a very clear picture. And that picture is terrifying and fucked up.
Jaw on the floor, overblown by what's happening here, and just being like, this is like the most amazing thing.
And under all the blood, gore, violence, manipulation, and questions is a theme of coping with loss. What would you be willing to do to bring back a loved one?
People will hurt people if they can get something out of it.
Or how do you deal with the loss of someone that you had a very complicated relationship with? Andy had a lot of issues with his dad, but Piper had a nearly perfect relationship with him, so Andy doesn't want to ruin that memory for her because that's all they have left now. But if the truth doesn't come out, it may come at the price of Andy's chances to be your guardian, or Piper could end up hating him.
Or die.
Yes, Bill. Who knows where this ritual Laura is performing will lead her. The acting in this was fucking fantastic. This was Sora Wong's debut acting experience, and she was just amazing. Billy Barrett really carried a lot of the film as Andy, and Jonah Phillips was very menacing even without speaking. And then there's Sally Hawkins as Laura. Not since a character like Mrs. Carmody and The Mist have I experienced someone like Laura. She's just the worst kind of evil, the kind that has an emotional motivation guiding her actions, and the ends will always justify the means for her, and that's scary as hell. She's emotionally broken, almost enough that you kind of feel sorry for her, but then she'll do something with that attitude of,
I got mine, fuck you.
And then you remember just how much you fucking hate her. But did I hate this movie? Obviously fucking not. It was spectacular. If you can handle the uncomfortable themes and gore, I give this one of my highest recommendations in a long time. I give Bring Her Back a straight A. I hope one day you guys can cover this and do a full spoiler review and actually let me join in on the conversation.
Nope.
And then after the review, of course, we can hang out for a few hours.
I'm not going to see you afterwards.
I guess it's time to wrap things up. Chris, what'd you think of the segment this week?
The middle part, when it turned into a 20-minute sex scene, felt totally out of place.
Okay, I guess I'll edit that out before Bill posts the podcast. I knew it was a little risky. But before I go, I wanted to mention your reviews of Vamp and Deep Rising from last week and how it sounded like you were having a good time talking about them.
I did like that.
Yeah, I did too. I did too.
Vamp got the review it deserved as a cult classic comedy, and I give that a B+. And Deep Rising, I was going to just give it a straight B, but then this happened.
Boats just go missing there all the time with no explanation.
Yeah, it doesn't really have anything to do with how deep the water is, so...
it's called Deep Rising.
So that also gets a B+. And that's about all I have to say about that. So until the next foster home necromancy ritual, peace and love, guys. Outside the cinema with hosts Bill and Chris, they're definitely not vampires.
We're a legitimate human business. Look at us.
Yeah, Bring Her Back, the two brothers, they're the guys that did Talk to Me last year. So they're definitely guys to watch, and I'm actually excited to watch that movie. I might actually go to the theater to see that. So,
I'm interested to watch it, even though I had issues.
Oh yeah, no, I think Talk to Me is an excellent film. Not perfect, but excellent. Well. So, hey guys, thank you very much for hanging out with us this week. If you would like to join our Patreon, go to patreon.com/outsidethecinema. I don't know what we're doing next week yet. I'm going to figure that out today, and then I'll let Chris know. So.
In 4 days.
No, I'll do my best to actually let you know today. So yeah, follow us on Instagram and stuff at OTC Bill, at Cthulhu. Follow us on Facebook. Just do a search in the groups for Outside the Cinema. That's really about it. Thanks to Scott. Thanks to Joe. We'll be back next week, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.